Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the prime time newscast in the English language on Canal the International. I'm called Maureen Z. It's exactly 6:15, and we take you around the globe and major stories. 6 persons die in a road accident this Thursday in two separate towns. One of the accidents occurred in a wine neighborhood in Yaoundé, while the second accident occurred in Bangwa in the west region of Cameroon. Road accidents have been blamed on reckless driving. And search efforts are underway to track down a suspect involved in the poisoning to death of two children in Bojongo, Douala. The children died after consuming corn fufu offered them by a food vendor. And a group of lawyers have signed a petition to press for the convening of an extraordinary General Assembly of the Cameroon Bar Association. In this edition, we'll be having reactions of one of those who signed the petitions. Those were major stories, the details right ahead. Good evening once more. We begin on a sad note. At least 3 persons have died in a road heavy-duty truck from Douala. The container it was transporting fell off and killed those beside the road. Heisencha visited the accident site. His story.
Hello Gladys, a gloomy atmosphere here at our Escalier neighborhood. The population in shock and total distress over this unfortunate incident that occurred last evening at about 6 p.m. Behind me are 2 containers that were being transported by a heavy-duty truck, and all of a sudden it cuts into 4 parts. And the 2 containers you can see are reported to have crushed 4 people. A bike rider transporting 2 passengers and a lady who is said to have been carrying out her business. With me are some eyewitnesses who will be telling us exactly what transpired that unfortunate evening. Good afternoon, madam.
Afternoon, bro.
So, tell us, what exactly happened?
So, the container, the scratch started before me. The container not been at the fault for the driver. Not been at fault for the driver. So the driver is one Dodge motorman. He don't carry some passenger behind me. Then my neighbor did the 2, the flathead. So as he want Dodge, he want go for side for route.
From Awai village to Awai Escalier, they are shocked, depressed, and in total disbelief of this unfortunate incident. This heavy-duty truck, divided into 2 parts, meters away from each other. The 2 sugar containers it was transporting, crushing a rider and roadside business vendors. The cause of the accident has been blamed to a stubborn bike rider, as this eyewitness recounts.
Not been at the fault for the driver. Not been at fault for the driver. So the driver is one Dodge motorman. He don't carry some passenger behind me. Then my neighbor did the 2, the flathead. So as he want Dodge, he want go for side for route. Some motor driver too, he want escape the other one too. They mash steering. He gave for how it been a 2 container for back. He gave for jam. The one for back jam, the one for front. They don't go for he grandis for 2 men, 2 girls.
Faced with a tragic situation, the population of the Awai Escalier neighborhood, Yaoundé, tried to rescue the dying souls, but their efforts lasted in vain. We tried pulling out the woman who was crying for help, but we couldn't, and that is how she gave up the ghost. The accident, which occurred at about 6 p.m. this Thursday, only took the combination of the police forces, the National Gendarmerie and the firefighting brigade to retrieve the corpses after long hours of serious struggle. The remains of the victim are currently lying at the Econo-Military Mortuary. It should be noted that the Awai Escalier stretch of road is highly noted for the influx of heavy-duty trucks plying the Douala-Betua, Ngaoundéré-Garoua and Marwa roads, and equally to neighboring countries like Chad and the Central African Republic at any period of the day. This a veritable threat to taxis, motorbikes and pedestrians.
Meantime, 3 other persons are reported to have died in another accident that occurred in Bangwa, a village in the west region of Cameroon. The accident occurred this afternoon. According to eyewitnesses, the carrying vehicle that was running on high speed and trying to overtake another vehicle came head-on with a speedy bus heading to Douala. 3 persons on board the carrying vehicle died on the spot. We'll come back to that in a subsequent editions of the news. Such efforts are underway to track down a suspect involved in the poisoning to death of 2 children at the Bonjoko neighborhood in Cameroon's economic city, Douala. The children died after consuming a corn fufu offered them by a food vendor. The mother, who is said to have also consumed the corn fufu, escaped death by hair's breadth. As Regina Leketanda tells us more.
C'est ma mère, c'est la mère. Il y a une chose, on est en train de supplier qu'on nous donne le corps. Les 2 corps là, on pas enterrés. On ne connaît pas ce qui va encore sortir par derrière.
It is still a bitter pill to swallow for this grandmother who lost her 2 grandkids in Bojonko. Douala 4, Mabel and Leah, died after consuming corn fufu. The mother of the deceased children, just recovering after she went into a coma, struggles to explain the circumstances leading to the tragic event. Their children were watching TV in the sitting room, and a woman called Zakiatu came in with a plate of corn fufu. My daughter asked, "Is this for us?" And she said, "No, it's for your mother." She gave the food and then left. When my child started eating, she said, "This food seems not to be good." I tasted the food, and while I was eating, my 2 daughters joined me. I left them to do a transaction. And when I came back, my daughter of 8 years old cried out, "Mama, please, take me to a hospital. I don't want to die. I am not feeling well." All accusing fingers are now pointing at Zakiatu, who served the food in this place but has since disappeared since the police issued a warrant of arrest. At the Gendarmerie Legion in Bojonko, we were told investigations are still on, especially given the autopsy results are not yet out. The hospital is demanding a sum of 800,000 francs CFA for autopsy of these 2 children, what the family say they can afford. I have never counted up to 100,000 francs. Where would I take 800,000 francs CFA? I don't have that kind of money. Calls have been multiplied for a detailed investigation to bring to book the potential murderers of the children. The victims died as they were being rushed to the Bonasama District Hospital. As for their mother, she survived the poison after being in intensive care at a hospital.
Police in Bafoussam in the west region of Cameroon are currently detaining an alleged kidnapper whose last victims were 2 and 7-year-old children from the same family. The purported kidnapper is an ex-convict, as we hear in the following story with Gladys Ambo Tiba.
This is the alleged kidnapper of children in Bafoussam in the Mifi Division, West region of Cameroon. The 26-year-old Kamga, alias Eme Gabi, who is an ex-convict, reportedly abducted 2 and 7-year-old children in the town of Bafoussam. He was arrested by policemen of the judicial police. We received a complaint from the family concerning the kidnap of 2 kids. Eme Kamga Akanj, 2-year-old, was the first to be abducted by the suspect, who reportedly took away the child from her grandmother's house. This occurred after the suspect reportedly pleaded with the grandmother of the children to let them accompany him to a nearby shop to buy a bottle of juice. It is alleged that after kidnapping, he transported his victims to his hideout, a 1-bedroom he has rented in the town of Buda, before demanding ransoms to families of the victims. We are calling on the population to be more vigilant because we have noted that it is a recurrent phenomenon. The ex-convict was released several months back from prison after benefiting from a presidential pardon. He is back performing similar criminal acts.
For decades now, mosquitoes have been a serious menace to people living in Africa and other parts of the world. This environment, a stagnant water present almost everywhere, serve as breeding ground to the insect. As Cameroon joins the world today to commemorate World Mosquito Day, a reporter, Regina Leke Tanda, looks at the unending romance between the insects and the African continent. Her story.
It is an insect that has been responsible for millions of deaths across the African continent. Almost everyone has had the unpleasant experience of being bitten by a mosquito. The female Anopheles mosquito has been transmitting malaria to humans for decades. They thrive in dirty and humid environments. Poor waste disposal and dirty environment has for decades provided a convenient breeding ground for the insects. World Mosquito Day, observed annually on August 20th, is a commemoration of British doctor Sir Ronald Rose's discovery in 1897 that revealed that a female Anopheles mosquito transmitted malaria between humans. The day is intended to raise awareness about the illness and disease caused by mosquitoes, notably Africa's #1 killer, malaria. Recently, mosquitoes became a major topic for discussion after renowned Nigerian sports journalist Mimi Fawaz, who was one of the masters of the ceremony of the AFCON draw, noted her night in Cameroon was frustrated by mosquitoes as she fought with in her hotel room. Cameroonians online came down hard on her for tarnishing the image of a nation about to host a major sports event. They bash her, noting that mosquitoes are part of the African society and therefore no need to make a fuss of it.
Now, in continuation of the 49th National Day celebration and in a bid to revamp the respect for national colors, a brief ceremony took place today in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon. Some regional delegates were handed copies of the national flag, a ceremony chaired by Northwest Governor Adovile Lafrique. The details in the following story with Gladys Ambo Zibang.
In a region where national emblems like the flag have been desecrated and rubbed in mud due to the spirit,
people do no longer take into consideration the meaning behind. They just see maybe a piece of material behind a flag, and that is the reason why at times they will abandon the flag for years until the flag can fall by itself before they think of replacing it.
In line with the revival, an early morning ceremony has taken place at the Northwest Governor's Office in Bamenda this Friday, August 20, with the symbolic handing over of the three-color flag to some regional delegates, a move that is expected to continue to provide public and para-public establishments with such coats of arms.
This falls in a straight line with within the framework of a specific education campaign on which the Ministry of Youth Affairs has embarked us, and that which started I think sometime in May, and today we have launched it at the level of our region with this operation: one public service, one flag, one copy of the national anthem. I think this particular one is specific to the Northwest region.
In a bid to stamp his signature and prove his patriotic spirit, Governor Adovile Lafrique took observers off guard to cheer Friday's brief breakfast ceremony ahead of his usual official arrival time for work. The youths who witnessed the occasion must have been inculcated patriotic lessons they are expected to hand over to future generations as legacy.
A group of lawyers have signed a petition to press for the convening of an extraordinary General Assembly of the Cameroon Bar Association. According to the lawyers, the present leaders have taken the Bar Council hostage with nothing to write home about. They have accused the interim Bar Council president of holding a grip or firm to pass even after the mandate of the late president, late barrister Chakun Conte had expired. According to the lawyers, the interim mandate expired on November 24 or 20. The President of the General Assembly has all legal obligations to convene an elective General Assembly, but failed to do so. In the following interview, we talked to one of the signatories of the petition, Barrister Tamfo Richard.
Yes, this petition is to provoke the inaction that is being observed, because you will remember that the bar president who was elected on the 24th and 25th November 2018 had a 2-year mandate, and which mandate was supposed to expire on the 25th of November 2020. But for reasons of nature, he passed on October 4th of October 2020. So creating a vacuum and need for an interim bar president, and that was done. And the bar president was finally laid to rest in March, making it opening the floor that the bar president had to convene elections within the periods as provided by our internal rules and regulation, which is May and November. But unfortunately, in May, we instead received sporadic press releases from the bar president informing lawyers that he was making arrangements with administrative officials and logistics, and till date, we have not heard any feedback from him. So, giving this deaf silence, and we fear that November may reach and we continue to pursue in illegality. That's the reason for the petition, so as to provoke the convening of an elective General Assembly.
We take you to the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, where there is a scramble, and centers in charge of issuance of license plates. Drivers are doing what it takes to get the documents in order to avoid the wrath of government. The pressure or last-minute pressure on driver follows a communique signed on August 18 by the governor of the Central region. As we hear the following story with Beatrice Ngamu.
The number of persons entering and leaving this vehicle number plate center indication there is no time to waste. They prefer to make regular the situation of their cars. Even motorbike owners at work right in front of the office, as all vehicles circulating should have complete license plates, be it diplomatic or CEMAC, temporary registration or chassis. This move by the government is not far-fetched, purely for security reasons. A secured license plate, and it is also in preparation ahead of the African Nations Cup. This goes with having the right number plates also. How can one obtain, or where should one get the vehicle license plates? It goes with certain conditions as instructed by Transport Ministry.
La dimension, la couleur,
the dimension, color, and reflection for certain security form. Each number plate has to be reflecting for the car to be identified at any time.
There are 4 license plate colors for vehicles here in Cameroon. The green for the diplomats, non-governmental organizations, white exclusively for the administration, blue for embassies, orange color for the average Cameroonian, be they personal or yellow cabs. The numbers on the plates are not invented. Rather,
it is the number that appears on the car registration number of users, simply.
In less than 6 days, Central Regional Governor Nasir Paul Biya and team will begin their control, and any car out of place will be impounded. Reactions in line with the governor's communique signed last August the 18th, calling on vehicle owners under his jurisdiction to comply with the number plates of their cars.
And thanks so much for watching. Do stay in the company of our programs. I'll be back Monday for another edition. Good night.